Good afternoon, Father Vice Chancellor, respected fathers, deans, directors, and all my colleagues from Christ Fraternity. Hearty welcome from Praveen Kenneth's Chair on Leadership to the 18th Leadership Conversations. Leadership Conversations is a monthly forum for leaders of Christ University to engage in conversations around leadership. Today we have planned something different. It's a panel discussion with three of our head of departments. We have Dr. Anita Sushil, Head of Department, School of Architecture, Dr. Sanjay Rastogi, Head of Department, Commerce from Delhi NCR campus, and Dr. Nithila Vincent, Head of Department, Commerce, Bangalore Central Campus. I am Georgy Kurian, Associate Dean, School of Business and Management, moderating this session. Mr. Samuel George, Program Manager, Praveen Kenneth Chair on Leadership, is also with me here at the Central Campus. There will be an opportunity for question and answers from participants. If you have any questions or comments, please put it on the chat. You can also unmute and speak at the end if you have some comments or some questions. In the military, we have something called field commanders. Field commanders are the military officers who will lead the soldiers on ground in the battlefield. They are generally the commanders who will lead the troops from the front on ground. They also take the brunt of the war. In Christ University, I see the head of departments as the field commanders. Head of departments runs the show, lead from the front, lead the faculty as well as the students. So today we are meeting three of our field marshals, leaders who run the show from the front. These dear and respected leaders of Christ University will today discuss on the theme, building, inspiring, and translating vision into action. In addition to hearing the panelists speak about the theme, we also would like to know who the leaders are as persons and a peek into their value system and leadership secrets. I would like to begin the discourse with Dr. Nithila Vincent. Dr. Theresa Nithila Vincent is the Head of Department of Commerce. She has a long and memorable association with Christ since 1997. Her PhD is in the area of consumer behavior. Under Dr. Nithila's leadership, the department collaborated with global professional institutions and international universities and has achieved much recognition at the national and global levels. Nominated as a member of CISI National Advisory Board of India, Dr. Nithila has always been an enthusiastic researcher. She has many publications in national and international journals of repute and was also granted copyright for the PhD work of her scholar. Dr. Nithila, you are one of the longest serving head of departments again amongst us. When you took over the responsibility as head of department in 2012, what were your initial challenges? What attitudes and actions helped you to tide over those challenges? Dr. Nithila, before we go to that question, can you also tell who you are as a person? What do you see? How do you see yourself as a professor, as a teacher, as a leader? Over to you, Dr. Nithila.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. It is my privilege to speak in this elite forum. Thanks to Leadership Chair and Mr. Sam for giving me this opportunity. About myself, I was born and brought up in Chennai, grew up there till my post-graduation. Then after marriage, moved to Delhi for around 6 years, and I worked in the industry and came and settled in Bangalore in 1996. 97 onwards, I'm associated with Christ, initially as a part-timer and then from 2001 as a full-time faculty. As a person, I enjoy meeting people, talking to people. And main thing is, one thing I would say that I've never hesitated to take up challenges because I look at challenges as opportunities that come my way. And the courage to take up challenges is because of my faith and conviction that if God gives you something, He will definitely also provide you with the necessary skills and resources to take it up. And what I am today is because of what I've learned from all the people around me, my superiors, my colleagues, my students. I have to mention, I've learned a lot from my students. So this is what I am, a little bit about myself. So moving on, initial challenges and my attitudes and actions which you shared. Before I took up as the head of the department, we had two divisions in the Department of Commerce. We used to call it as Com 1 and Com 2. We had different set of faculty members reporting to different coordinators and set of students also A and B associated with Com 1 and Com 2, B and C and D sections. So the challenge was in 2012, the two divisions got merged. We became a very large department with so many students and many more faculty members, and also to win over the trust and confidence of all the faculty group who were now reporting to a new person. So these were some of the challenges initially. And attitudes and actions, if I have to share how I could overcome, I would say it's you need a lot of patience and understanding. You cannot bring about changes at the first go. You have to gradually build the trust and confidence and then bring about changes. So, but be focused on delivering, look at the larger picture and follow your instincts. I never hesitate to seek advice or opinion either from my faculty, whether colleagues or students. Faculty colleagues, it could be a senior or a junior. And I have learned from all their this. And involving them in the decision making is something that I have realized where it becomes a shared vision when all are involved in a decision making process. Some of the things.
Okay. Dr. Nithila, you mentioned that if God has given you this responsibility, He will also equip you with the ability to fulfill it. So you consider your job, your teaching, this academic leadership as a divine assignment. Your work is a form of worship for you.
Maybe I would put it this way. I look at it as a responsibility entrusted to me. It's not an authority, not a position of authority. It is a responsibility entrusted to me. And there are people, faculty and students under my care.
Okay. Thank you. Another interesting aspect what Dr. Nithila has talked about was trust as a leadership tool. So we would like to hear more about that as we go forward. I would like to hear from other panelists as well. I request Dr. Anita Sushil to speak next. With over 26 years of experience in architecture and urban design studies, Dr. Anita Sushil currently heads the School of Architecture. As a founding member of the school, she is contributing extensively to innovative pedagogy in architectural education towards an experiential learning process and outreach projects. She has been actively involved in understanding, researching, teaching, and practicing sustainable attitudes to urban heritage conservation, ecological urbanism, and politics of urban design. Her works are well published and presented at national and international conferences and journals. Dr. Anita Sushil did her BArch from College of Engineering, Trivandrum. She continued her education, master's and PhD at SEPT University, Ahmedabad, which is the premier institute in India for architectural education. So, Dr. Anita, you have started the new programs in architecture. VR can remark. Many feel that architecture programs are different from our other programs. What is the uniqueness about your programs? Can you also apprise us about the innovative pedagogies you have in architecture? But before you answer that question, can you also tell us a little more about yourself, about your beliefs and convictions as an architect, as a teacher, as a leader? Where are your value systems coming from? Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a great privilege to be part of this wonderful forum, and thank you for giving this opportunity as well. I hail from Trivandrum city, which I would generally define as the land of water. It has given or laid the foundations of various perceptions right from childhood. So something which I would like to remember here is my experience as a child seeing architect Laurie Baker work at site, because my father was a civil engineer, and often after school he used to go for the site visits. So I often see this person working at site. Actually, Laurie Baker had a very different style of architectural practice wherein he works at site. It's a hands-on experience that he shares with the client as well as with the people who are working at site. So it's a very different realm of working and practicing architecture, which I happen to see from childhood. So I think this has built in a lot of deeper perceptions within me as a person, as a child. Then my graduation at College of Engineering, Trivandrum, which also kind of rendered foundations of my career. Further, but I would really wish here to bring out the experiences at CEPT University, which, as you mentioned rightly, one of the premier institutes in India for architectural education and also very well-renowned institution. I think this is where I had started a passion for teaching. I happened to work with and also kind of being taught under various wonderful teachers, wherein I saw teaching as a very divine profession and a great responsibility that one holds when you are teaching young students at school. And that's where I think the passion for teaching picked up. And also, the self-discipline and also the idea of frugality and, various other deeper perception. This is the first time I'm speaking about it in a public forum about these deeper convictions that I've gained through my institutions where I've studied. And beyond all this, I think the wonderful ecosystem of Christ University has given me a greater opportunity to try out, apply newer pedagogies and experiment with teaching. Coming back to your question, sir, I think we have an undergrad and a postgraduate program, bachelor's in architecture and a master's in architecture. And this year onwards, we are planning to start the PhD program as well. Something which is common across all the programs is that immersion or helping the student to immerse themselves in the realm of design thinking. This is a tall task, both for the teacher as well as for the student, and the kind of methods that we adopt is a little different from typically other architectural programs run elsewhere as well. Here I would like to talk about one of the instances, that is the Studio on Wheels, which we often, that's one of the first pedagogical tool which we have tried at Christ School of Architecture. Just as we say a dojo of a karate class or the gallery of Paite, that is the realm or the field where one learns and starts thinking about the art that one is learning. In architecture, we call it the studio, and we have a flexible classroom method, which we have first tried out, that's called the Studio on Wheels. Unlike typical study tours, this is actually classrooms which are traveling and it go elsewhere, have a wonderful connect with the people and the environment and develop one's own perception. So here what the teacher is offering the student is, one is to give complete freedom for the student to make or develop his perception, his or her outlook to architecture. Second, at the same time, the knowledge that we render at this point. So depending on the semester level, we conduct various types of exercises, and it's a completely planned, just as a course plan for the studio on wheels, we have a complete plan which is laid out for during the travel time. Because it's a study time, and we are only that we are not in the confines of walls, but we are outside travel. I think this has rendered a lot of beyond knowledge. I think even other soft skills in building, caring for others. Sharing a bottle of water itself is a great learning, So while you travel, you learn a lot. So I think this is one of the pedagogical method that we have adopted at School of Architecture to start with. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So that influence of the great architect Laurie Becker, then immersion of students into the realm of design thinking and architecture as a way of life, and also you spoke about the flexible classrooms, flexible learning studio on wheels. So your classrooms are moving, and the freedom of learning. So a very interesting thought. So I hope we will be able to discuss more about these aspects as we move forward. And also mentioning frugality is a new concept. We would like to hear more about that now. My next question is to Dr. Sanjay Rastogi. Dr. Sanjay Rastogi is a PhD with over 16 years of experience in teaching, research, and training. Prior to joining Christ, he had held senior positions in reputed academic institutions. His teaching and research interest includes behavioral finance, investment behavior, portfolio management, and financial modeling. He has published widely in scholarly national and international journals, conference papers, and edited books in the field of finance. Besides, Dr. Sanjay is a certified trainer on Goods and Service Tax, GST, by NACEN. Sanjay is an avid reader and a writer. He enjoys reading and writing about business, economy, and investment behavior. Dr. Sanjay, who are you? What is not included in your CV? Who are you as a person, as a leader? And also, let me put a question also to you. This is what I want to hear from you. You were involved with MBA programs and commerce programs at the Christ NCR campus from the beginning. You have also seen a new campus coming up, new programs getting introduced, the new faculty joining. Can you share your leadership experience in building new programs, being part of a new growing institution? But before that, let us hear who you are as a person.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgie, sir, and very good afternoon to everyone. And thank you to the leadership chair for giving me this opportunity to participate, share, and learn from this learned the gathering. I believe that I am the youngest among the galaxy today, and I really feel a privilege. But my professional journey, you have already spoke, sir. But what is not included, as you have asked, and what kind of a person I am. So probably what is not included in this the small brief CV is the support and inspiration, behind this journey, which I get from my moral values and the family support. And then the second thing which you have asked about that what kind of a person I am. So to be very honest, that what kind of a person I am. But one thing I can say, that is what I believe and practice in my daily life as well, that being a good human being is the greatest success. The rest follows. So this is the something about a small brief about which is not included in the CV, sir. Coming back to the question which you have asked that about my leadership, the experience in the Christ NCR campus. So yes, Christ NCR campus started in 2014 with the PGDM program, and I joined the campus in 2017. And in 2019, the campus got the status of the universities off campus. And in 2019, the campus started with around 13 programs offered through the 5 different departments. And today it's offering around 27 programs and through the 9 departments. So in 1.5 years, almost 1.5 years, only the campus has grown almost twice. And I feel fortunate that I being the part of this transition. I was the part of this transition, and this gave me a lot of opportunity to learn and grow. During the transition, we encountered many challenges while adopting and developing the new system. And yes, one of them was the most challenging part was the setting up the courses and the departmental operating procedure. I would say that we did it successfully. However, it took some time as it was, the back and forth process. But what helped us more in facing these challenges successfully was our the high morale and the ownership. I remember there were the days when we were working at the campus till late evening, but none of us they complained because we own those work. And one thing which I feel as an academician, that this ownership, when your career and the personal goals are aligned with the organizational goal. And that's what here, what we, as a leader, we are doing by providing the opportunities to the team to grow for their personal development, their career progression in the department and the university. So this is with the small, my leadership experience and a small stint which I have spent so far in the Department of Commerce, as well as in the university.
Okay, Dr. Sanjay, you said a very interesting statement. That is aligning organizational goals with employees or individual goals, and that will lead to ownership. Ownership comes when goals of the organization and individuals' goals are aligned. Dr. Nithila, can you comment on what Dr. Sanjay said? That what are your views on this, aligning individuals' goals with the organizational goals and ownership coming from it?
So because we have faculty members and students, they come from a diverse background, different experiences, a lot of their own dreams and aspirations. They have some aspirations when they have joined this institution. So as a head of the department, it becomes very important that we sync both these, because the individual should grow and then the institution will also grow along with them. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and Dr. Sunita, see, you have come with very new programs, new people, everything new. At that point of time, when new ideas and new people are coming, was this a challenge for you to align organizational goals with employee and individuals' goals? How did you, approach this?
Actually, architecture offers varied kind of approaches towards teaching, practice, and also research. So something here I would like to talk about is one's own aspirations when one is working, plus the institutional aspirations. So many a times it's beyond actually pedagogies and methodologies. Some of the labs, for example, let's say, the labs which we are actually planning for the future, as well as currently what we have now, whatever 3 years time frame, what we have developed, what we encourage them to do is let the work be for the institution of the first call, that comes on the first call. The second will be, develop your own research thoughts, thinking, and also aspirations on the work that you are actually handling within the lab, especially. We can actually develop newer products or newer ways of designing things or newer materials for that matter. How do you work with certain particular type of tools? So what happens is what you taught is it doesn't remain with just a lesson plan or a lesson that you have taken. It becomes a paper, or it even becomes it can be developed into a PhD project. So this is the kind of options that we open up when we take up a course. Often at times because when very different and new people, as Nithila ma'am also mentioned, that people come with different aspirations, various backgrounds, various perceptions. So I think at times it becomes challenging to align all of them to kind of have similar, thoughts and, way forward. So I think that's my view about it.
Thank you, ma'am. So let me come back to Nithila, ma'am. So you spoke about trusting as a, trusting people and the people trusting you. Well, two-way trusting is what you said. So can we consider trust as a leadership paradigm, a leadership idea? How is trusting part of leadership? That is one part of the question. The second, you are also an advocate of servant leadership. So what is servant leadership to you? Do you think it is practical? How do you, practice it?
Thank you, sir. I believe that trust and appreciation are key leadership traits, because in these two aspects, they promote team cohesiveness. If you can win the trust and acceptance of your team members, it's easy to accomplish any task. But trust here, I would like to say, is twofold. As a leader, how I build trust of my team in myself. And secondly, how as a leader, I trust in the capabilities of my team members such. So coming to the first part, as how I build trust in me, my team members, you have to be honest and transparent, and your actions should match your words. And this should be at all times. It's whether in your meetings or inside the classroom or outside or even outside the campus, because you come across even students outside. So that is a leading by example, what we say in management books. That's very important. Another thing is to build the trust in you is also to openly acknowledge every small contribution that your team members are bringing forth for the team or the department, and never take the credit or all the credit to yourself. If we have a standard practice in our department meetings, we start with a silent prayer and we follow it with an appreciation of all the smallest contribution, whatever may it be, during that week, mentioning the name of the faculty members. So it could be a work well done, a task accomplished, or it could be good research publications, but we acknowledge everything by name. And this actually builds a lot of mutual appreciation among the team members as such. The second trust, I should say, where as a leader, I trust the capabilities of my team members. You have to know what each one is good at and delegate work according to their capabilities. Of course, directions have to be given and some amount of handholding, maybe for a new faculty member, a little more handholding. Experience that much is not required, but that is a responsibility of us as a leader to see that it is accomplished. And regarding the servant leadership, whether it is practical and realistic, yes, as I already mentioned, being head of the department is a position of responsibility. It is a responsibility to faculty, students, the institution, important first and foremost. And there we have to align their individual goals with the institutional goal and see that in every decision that we take, in every action, we are mindful of the needs of the others, the student or faculty members, and also be conscious about it. This will help institution, but how will it also help the faculty in the process? Like how Anita ma'am also shared now. They look at work for the institution, but look at opportunities for your work. So that kind of a nurturing ground we have to give. So yes, servant leadership is practical and realistic.
So with your permission, I wish to add a point to this. I think even our language matters. I think we need to be participating with our colleagues. So like if you are assigning a work, we can very well use this phrase, let us do it, which means that it's you and I, both of us are involved. Or if something is not done, why don't we do it? So some of us could not meet these targets. So even that matters a lot. You feel more comforted rather than being challenged in certain, because certain things are done or not done. So participating along with the colleagues matters a lot. So I think a mindful way of using language might help a lot.
That's right. Thank you. Ma'am, let me come back to you.
Yes,
You said, trust is critical. So being transparent, being honest, walk the talk. So what I'm hearing is integrity of the person. So that is one part you spoke about. And the other part you said is leaders are like taking care of the organization and the stakeholders interested to their care. That is, you are saying that leaders are like stewards. A steward is a good caretaker of what is entrusted to his or her care. So I'm, hearing two very significant things. One is integrity, and the other is stewardship. So these two pillars are what probably I hear from what your message is. So, I will come back to you once again, ma'am. And Sanjay said, like, your views on these two aspects. Like, do you really think that, how important integrity and stewardship to leadership practices? So, can I hear from Sanjay sir first, and then from Anita ma'am?
Yes, sir. I completely agree with this, sir. The one most important thing as a leader, you see that when the people are joining, the new people are joining to you, or even those in the department already there, they have the different capabilities, right? They come from the diverse background, they have the different experience, and as a leader, it is your responsibility to get the best from them. And this can happen only when feel that they are well accepted and they are valued in the system. And this happens only when you start taking care of them. And then it comes just, when the trust is built up, and then the flow of communication is good, and they all are, able to participate, and they share the idea, their vision, the way of working, and then the hand holding, as what ma'am was telling. So I completely agree with this, sir.
So integrity, I think, as ma'am mentioned, walk the talk. Like what we preach, we need to practice. I think it's very important. And many a times you are being watched. So at times I used to tell my colleagues also, it's not easy to sit on that chair of head of the department. Sometimes I like to kind of hide away from there and be myself. But it's a great responsibility. I think we have to be, we have to, we need to practice as well. I think I completely agree to that.
Thank you, ma'am. And also you said that expressions are important, that language is important. Others are looking at you, so you have to be really careful, how you present yourself and influence others. So my next question is to you, Anita ma'am. I have heard you talking about sustainable attitudes. Sustainable attitudes. We have heard about sustainable practices. But, what is actually the difference, or what is, how do you really inculcate sustainable attitudes to your students? So that is one part of the question. Then you also mentioned about, conversations with materials and also, frugality. Can you a little bit elaborate on those aspects as well?
I think sustainable practice, the word practice and attitude is there's a huge difference between both. A practice can be nurtured, it can be developed, and by continuously doing it, probably you can adopt practices. But attitude is something inbuilt, something which is inherent, or something when you internalize is when the attitude starts. So sustainable attitudes it's a very different, I feel, whatever smaller way we are trying at School of Architecture. I think to develop sustainable attitudes, we have to adopt very different kinds of methods. So when I first joined here at Christ, I think every time I come to Central Campus, I used to go back with a lot of interesting observations and findings, in fact. And one such very important day is that day when I went to CSA, Center for Social Action. Wonderful thoughts, wonderful practices. Uh, it's the attitude of the university that I could see there. Imagine 20,000 odd students, paper waste coming back, and it's getting recycled, and whatever best way they can, they are actually making it into smaller crafts or products. This has kind of sparked a great thought, like what can School of Architecture can do and how can we participate with CSA? I think CSA was the first center that the School of Architecture started collaborating with. Starting with a very informal manner with, I think I wish to thank Dr. Feena ma'am also in this respect. We had wonderful conversations, starting with very informal exchanges of information and activities that are happening in CSA to thoughts about, it made me think as to what way can we kind of do about spatial thinking, spatial design thinking, and with CSA's activities. So this prompted us to adopt certain materials like paper, wood. For wood, we call it bamboo, paper, bamboo, and mud. So these are the three adopted materials of School of Architecture, of which paper is a wonderful, interesting material that we explored in collaboration with CSA. So I still remember 2017 when the school started, and semester 2, that is of the first batch, our studio started handmade paper making at CSA. And we often underestimate this material called paper, the lamina. And we had very interesting conversations with the student while they made paper first, and then they look at paper, such a flimsy material. Then we changed the geometry, we crumpled the paper, we opened it, we found that the paper could stand by itself. So what rendered this extra energy or this power to this very thin lamina called paper? So these were very interesting conversations that students have with the teacher. It's not through a PowerPoint presentation, but actually wetting their hands and working with paper making and then understanding what is paper. Then we found that, okay, when you crumble it, there are crease lines. The crumble is what has rendered that strength to this very thin lamina or this underestimated material called paper. Then we started in studio. The next question is, can we design crease lines? So that is folding, a fold. Can we design a fold? Eventually, you won't believe it, end of the actually mid of semester, we could actually build paper bridge, which could actually hold their own weight. So with paper tubes and materials that they collected, agarbatti, paper, etc. from Kerala. So it was a very interesting engagement of the student having a conversation with paper. Similarly, we have other material like bamboo. We have tried that. We have rolled out a new studio called Christ Rural Studio at second year level onwards, that is semester 4, where we engage a lot of conversation with bamboo. And this semester we have introduced mud. So conversations with mud. Material and conversations are very important. And that's when the material, it doesn't remain like another external element, but it gets internalized by the student as their own, or they're having a conversation. I think this fetches a lot of decision making that they do will be more informed decisions that they take in due course. So by doing these kind of experiential learning techniques, it's very difficult for the teacher, but I think it's exciting. I think I really appreciate my team as well to share these experiences and, to share these new ways of teaching along while we are teaching design principles.
So we are hearing, new terms like adopting materials. You adopted materials like paper, mud, and bamboo, and also conversations with materials. So new things, interesting. Practice becomes attitude. So that's how that sustainable attitude is established. So believing in what you are doing is what ultimately matters.
I wish to add one more point. I think if it was not in Christ, I don't think we can develop such wonderful studios. I think this ecosystem has given us that great opportunities to allow us to think freely in these realms and explore possibilities. And the students are also quite sensitive. Like by the time they come to third year, I think they are quite familiar and they are conversing,
So the ecosystem of Christ is a good nurturing ground, as we always say.
Definitely, I should say that.
Okay, Dr. Sanjay, my question to you is this. In a growing institution like Christ NCR campus, new faculty members join every year. And there are not many old Christ faculty to mentor the new faculty members. Is it a challenge to bring in the new faculty to Christ culture? How do you mentor the new faculty and integrate them to the Christ culture?
True. Yes, you are right, sir. When the new faculty join, the biggest challenge is to make them the familiar and adopt the new culture. As they come from the different background, they come from the diverse experience, and I would say this challenge become more challenging when you are working remotely and managing the teams virtually. That's what we were doing in the last year, almost 1 year. And as I spoke earlier also, as a leader, it is your responsibility that they should feel, the new team members should feel that they are well accepted and valued. And for this, this is possible only when they are the part of the culture. So, in order to integrate them with the rice culture, here what we did in our department, that we started engaging them before their official joining date, by making them the part of the departmental meetings, then allowing them to interact with the existing faculty member, by understanding the culture and its importance in the rice, and understanding their roles and responsibilities, even the sharing the syllabus with them, and giving them an opportunity to give your preferences as well, so that we can accommodate. And further, when they join the system, then we adopted the buddy system in the department, where one existing faculty was assigned as a buddy, as you have rightly mentioned at that time, that the old faculty were less and the new faculty will keep joining. And that's where I can again say that the ownership, which was always there in the faculty members, and they were ready to take the challenges, or ready to become the buddy for two or even three faculty as well. So the buddy system, which we adopted in the department, and then the buddy helped them in understanding the functioning of the department.
I think Dr. Sanjay, there is some connectivity issue.
At that time, many faculty were not acquainted of the online tools and techniques. The WebEx, the platform which we were using, then the faculty, these buddies actually help them even, the generating the class links, and then helping them to take the attendance as well. So
Dr. Sanjay is speaking from Delhi. So it seems that there is some connectivity issues and some disturbance in between. So we will also be, we have an opportunity to ask questions. If there are some questions, please feel free to write that in the chat. Also, you can unmute and speak, ask questions to your head of departments. Rare opportunity to ask, questions on leadership to your head of departments. So please make use of that as well. We will wait for Dr. Sanjay. Dr. Sanjay, it's not really muted.
Audio is.
There is some issue with the audio.
Buddies, and their the empathetic and compassionate nature, with the commitment and the ownership, played a great role during the pandemic in taking care of the new faculty as well as the student. Sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sanjay. So we have a question here from our registrar, sir. I will read out that question. What is the most important leadership challenge you faced, and how did you engage with it, and what was your learning? Maybe Nithila ma'am, you can start. Yeah.
What comes to my mind is rather running behind deadlines. It's a real challenge because we have so many things happening and we have to have the support of the faculty members. There also, we have large number of students, they have their papers, valuations, teaching, CIS, many things going on. Also, we have to get them to do this. It is very challenging. We understand the difficulty. So how do we overcome? Sit and work along. We work as a team. We sometimes have that too in this online mode. We work evening hours. We come on meetings. Our meetings have gone even past midnight. But as a team, we work. And in our department, we also have a core committee of coordinators. So they are also given some responsibility position as this. We get together. It's a collective decision, collective work, and that's how we are able to achieve whatever we are able to do.
I wish to add a
Yeah,
point.
please.
Yes, I think it's a big challenge. So I completely agree with Nithila ma'am. But I think beyond what ma'am said, I wish to add one more point here. It would be nice to always have a backup plan. Yeah, because at times the deadlines have to be met. Here, it is not the person or the portfolio that matters. It's the institution, what the target that it wants to achieve becomes very important. So these are, I think, some of the qualities, maybe the core team or maybe the one who is at the leadership position needs to have. That readiness to quickly shift to portfolios, like it cannot ever be said that I confine only to these portfolios. I'm ready to even switch to something else and take it on myself, and so that finally the larger winning is that of the institution, not the winning of an individual or not done. So we should have a backup plan. If not done, what is the other plan? So many a times I have faced this, and ensure that it is done, and no one will ever know that what were the hitches that we had, but it will be done. Somehow it gets done. Either the core team works in or I pitch in. So I think this preparedness is very important. That's what I'm coming to actually, that preparedness to shift portfolios very quickly, which I think comes from our institutional culture that we have developed over a period of time. I think the SEPTA University, I think this is something, the soft skill that they have helped us to develop in a big way. That is, how do you kind of feel flexible to switch from one portfolio to the other very quickly? So they create situations where we are actually kind of almost cornered with no options. You change, you will do it. So I think that's another way to address these challenges.
Thank you. There is one question from Karthikeya sir to Nithila ma'am. How do you identify the right talent for the right task?
This is done only with engaging with faculty members one-on-one, understanding them. It is not just by talking, it is also, say for instance, by the way a person drafts a mail and writes, I know what the person is good at and what they are communicating. So the way they speak, the way they write, the way they are so good at accomplishing tasks. We know some of them are restless unless they complete a task. And we know what they are good at. So it's just that by engaging with them and understanding it comes. It takes time, but we learn.
So a high degree of involvement with your people is required. Then you will know who they are, and appropriately you employ them or address them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. As other questions are coming, let me ask Ma'am, Anita ma'am, this question. What transformation has happened to your students through Christ Rural Studio on Wheels? And also, can you elaborate a little bit on frugality as a leadership principle? What do you mean by this idea of frugality?
I think though the questions are two, I think it's quite enmeshed.
Okay.
Christ Rural Studio comes out of this idea of frugality. So the idea here is we may have all resources and we may also have the purchase power, achieve or use resources that we want. But what is appropriate is very important. So I think Rural Studio, one of the key lessons or the takeaways of Rural Studio is how to make an appropriate decision and how to use material appropriately, how to design appropriately. Just enough so that that's enough. Beyond that, so where do you draw that line? So I think that's one of the soft skills that we expect the student to learn there. And I think it comes from this idea of frugality. Many a times it's misunderstood as using less and being stingy, so these are the other definitions, but it's a beautiful concept, and to adopt it is very, very difficult. One is the self-challenge, that is, one has to be very disciplined to kind of, that self-discipline that is engaged within us is very important. And it may not be kind of transpired to the students or the team members very immediately. We can only kind of gather new questions in their minds while doing these concepts, applying this. What I draw a lot of difference between frugality and minimalism also, because frugality is coming from a very agrarian paradigm, okay, whereas minimalism is a very modernist approach towards, let's take for example the idea of transparency. The other day we were having a very interesting discussion on that. What is transparent? No, sir, transparency is like you are there and I am here. It's a phenomenological position that you and I, this and the other, and you want a transparency between us. So minimalist might use glass as a material that I can see you, you can see me, and we are transparent. But there is other ways of looking at transparency as porosity. I can still read you. It's not necessary that it's only a visual connect that is needed, but even otherwise I can read you. Okay, so there the material comes in between, but it's transparent, but the transparency of a different kind, it's porosity. So you are actually intelligently using that in between this and the other in a very intelligent manner, so that you still can feel what's happening on the other side, but not necessarily with removal of material. So I think this appropriateness of what we do, how much we do, is something which is very key to, this is about teaching, but even in leadership, we face these. I think often all of us would have faced this. That is, when we take a decision, we have to be very careful about it, whether do we need that? That is something at the leadership position, I think it needs to be tested, asked a very, in a very intended manner as to do we need it and how much do we need it? Maybe if we put a proposal across, maybe it gets approved. But before we do that, just think once again and ask us, is it appropriate? Is it needed? Can we do it with little less than what it is? So I think these are very important and difficult decisions. At times we face a lot of challenges when we take such decisions.
Thank you. So, yeah, the choices you make, the responsible choices, that is what frugalism is all about. Yeah,
one
please.
point, if I can add to this, decisions which we make or choices, it just came to my mind is when we are having our students present the budget for our fest. They will give a big budget. We have to sit at the negotiation table and bring it down and make them understand it's not that we cannot afford it. Do we really need that? Do we need to be that extravagant? That takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. And there are some comments as well as a question. So Dr. Anil has mentioned this, that one takeaway for me is personal value system strongly influences leadership practices and initiatives. Certainly, yes, we all agree to that, isn't it? I mean, core of it is the personal value system and the character that actually drives it. We said integrity and what was the other thing?
Trust,
integrity, and
passion.
Yeah, passion. All those things are very, very important. From Ganesh sir, there is a question. Is there any particular leadership style to be followed for executing the tasks successfully. All of you, I mean, we can have your views as well. Sanjay sir, would you like to start here? Do you particularly, emphasize on a particular leadership style?
Yes, sir. First of all, that what Anil is saying, just to add into that, yes, I do believe that the personal value systems have a lot of impact on the leadership style. My case also, just I wanted to share that in my case that the moral the values as well as the empathetic view. Generally, when I practice it, I'm not that I am feeling, rather it comes from as a feedback from the team members. So probably this always there your value systems affect your I reflect on your leadership style. And as Ganesh sir has just asking about that again, I may not be at that level to to contribute into that. But one thing which I feel that the servant leadership is still, in the university we are following, and probably we have seen that it has given the desired result, fruitful results. So probably the servant leadership may be the one of the good leadership style to be followed, but there are certain challenges. Servant leadership again does not mean that every time we have to be the empathetic, that we have to be the listening or just following this. We have to look at the chair also. Chair's responsibility as well. So sometimes we have to tough as well. So I think, but yes, and wholesome, I can say the servant leadership maybe the best style to follow. So.
And if you would like to add on to Ganesh's question, yeah.
I would not be able to label any particular management book kind of a leadership style. I follow my instincts, and I know that God provides all my needs, and I just follow my instincts.
I think prescribing a style may not be ideal. It's like the compliance forms. Like if you're doing it for complying a certain set of categories. I think all of us do this compliance report for various reasons. But you may not have done certain activities in the institution or the department to comply to that. But if you do it that way, I think the value or the depth of what you do will get lost. I think.
Thank you. So, our time is also getting over. So let me ask one final question to all the panelists. What advice will you give to your successor? Can I, hear from all of you? Yes.
I'll take this. I think the successor is one more name. I think we should give them the freedom to think freely, the provision. But only one advice, we are within the ecosystem of Christ. Let's do for that bigger goals. I think we really get a wonderful path if we are very carefully looking at it and reading it well. And rest, I think let the new person draft, charter, new vision. Yes.
My advice would be, whatever you do, do it with passion and commitment without any expectations. Rewards and recognitions will follow.
Thank you. Sanjay sir?
Yes, sir. The first thing that by asking this question, probably indirectly you are saying that we are done. We should be leaving. For me, I think I would request, let me contribute for some more time. Just and that's it. Again, I would say that I am still learning the thing as the youngest the member of this galaxy. But one thing which I can say that the new person who is joining which is excellence in service. Probably if they look into the vision, the rest of the thing to this, and they'll be able to perform and match the personal goal with the organization. So.
Okay, thank you. I think we have also come to the end of our available allotted time. Let me conclude the session. It was a very enriching session for all of us. I learned a lot. May I, on behalf of Praveen Kenneth's chair on leadership and the university management and staff fraternity, thank the distinguished head of departments, Dr. Nithila Vincent, Dr. Anita Sushil, and Dr. Sanjay Rastogi to share their experiences with us. I also wish to acknowledge Mr. Samuel George. We call him fondly Sam for organizing this event and continuous support he provided. Also, our IT team, always forthcoming to help us, always. So thank you for the system.
It will be
and the team. Respected Registrar Sir, Anil Sir, would you like to say something? Make some announcement? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, just two quick announcement. Thanks so much, and thanks for all this wonderful session. It was a joy listening to all of you. One announcement tomorrow. The India is celebrating the 50th, the Golden Jubilee of the Indo-Pak War, 1971, and as part of that, the armed forces are taking the torch, the victory torch, across the country. And presently, this is in Bangalore, and they've taken it to all the houses of the soldiers and officers who fought the 1971 war. And they're also bringing it to one educational institution, that is Christ University, tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So 12 to 12:45 in front of the central block, the army will come with the victory torch, and they will also have a small military band, and they will also have a presentation on the 1971 war, and also some display of the guns and some of the armaments in display in front of central block. So I cordially invite all the faculty members, whoever is, of course, is able to make it, and feel free to bring students, if you have time, to the program at 12 o'clock in front of central block tomorrow. That's one announcement. Second is this is for HODs and program coordinators. You perhaps, some of you, most HODs are aware, but some program coordinators may also be aware that we every year have the Prior General of the congregation of the CMI come and give us a visit, and we normally have a small presentation and listen to the Prior General. And of course, our own father, previous Vice Chancellor, is coming back as a Prior General. That will be either Thursday or Friday. I will let you know the final date and time. It mostly will be 3 o'clock in the evening, Thursday or Friday. It will be in the central campus, 1 hour, 1.5 hours with the Prior General, Father Thomas C. Matthew. I will send out an email once the date is confirmed. This is just to give you a heads up. Thank you, Kurian sir. Father Vice Chancellor, would you like to say anything on the theme today?
Hello, good evening, everybody. It was a nice experience for me to listen to the stalwarts of Christ University, Dr. Anita Suseelan, Nithila, Vincent, and Sanjay Rastogi. Sanjay has seen that soul, but I have no much idea because I heard from Father Viju and so on. But you are a man with a lot of vision and passion. So happy to see from the NCR campus a vibrant leader. So your comment on individual goals and institutional goals are aligned, then the ownership will evolve. The ownership is more important for the leadership. And also, Nithila Vincent told that the trust in our colleagues, we have to build the trust, and with the trust only we can make others grow by trusting them. That's very important. But Anita Sushil, you're a philosopher. You're very remarkably telling about the frugality and all these things. I was wondering how spontaneously you're speaking about all these concepts very fluently. So that means you're a thinker, you're a philosopher, and that you're putting into practice in the Department of Architecture. So thank you so much for your wonderful participation and vibrant leadership. I'm proud of our leaders. HODs are really the real leaders of the university because they take others with you and you lead you from the front. So I feel as by chance I am only a caretaker of the university. It is not an exercise of authority, it is a servant. We are serving the institution because we have to know the needs of each and every one of the faculty members and students. And then we have to work according, because as I was telling, our students are coming with a lot of passion and energy and with a lot of expectations. When the expectations are reaching at the zenith with our work, our guidance and so on, the university goals achieved. So you are doing a remarkable work in the university. So thank you for your reflections, and also Georgy, Kurian, you are good in articulating and explaining the concepts. So we appreciate very much. And also I appreciate the leadership chair. It is a wonderful program, and started listening to it, I think this year only, because we were conducting only in the conference room or council room. Only a few participants can be there. Now more than 99 were there, I saw, now only 80. Even the other campuses can participate because it is a very enriching talk, good reflections. Those who love the university, those who want to contribute to the students, it will be a nice opportunity for everybody. So Praveen Khanna Chair, please make it vibrant by more visible using technology and so on. So congratulations each and every one of you. I am very proud of each and every department chair or head of the departments who are doing wonderful services for the Kailash University. Even during this pandemic time, you are leading the university very well. I am proud, and even parents are happy, because yesterday I saw many parents are waiting outside after 10 months of admission, and they were excited. So you are meeting their requirements, and you are guiding them. You are pushing them to the goal. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you. Yeah, we can close. Yeah. Thank you so much. Very good evening to all of you. Thank you. Bye.